Hi my lovies, I'm back on my fairy trail and now I'm starting to notice patterns. So I started with one Irish story, the Tuatha Dé Danann. They are a mysterious people remembered as arriving in Ireland with extraordinary knowledge. They were associated with craftsmanship, healing, poetry, magic and powerful objects. But the strangest part of their story, it's not their arrival, it's their disappearance. After losing Ireland to the Millicents, they do not simply vanish from the story. They withdraw into the She, the ancient mounds and hidden places of landscape. And from there, they become the people of the otherworld. So I wrote the first pattern on the board. Extraordinary beings arrive, bring knowledge, and then withdraw from ordinary human world. Then I looked outside Ireland. Mesopotamia, remembered at Crulay. Ancient sages associated with divine knowledge and the beginnings of civilization. The Andes, they remembered Morocco, a creator and teacher who traveled through the land before departing. Mesoamerican traditions remember Quetzalcoatl as a figure connected with knowledge, learning and civilizations. Different centuries, different continents, different stories. But the shape of the story keeps returning. The teachers arrive, knowledge follows, then the teachers leave. So I follow that pattern backwards. What appears in the physical world when these stories begin? Monuments. In Ireland, Newgrange rises around 3200 BC. Around the same time, broad prehistoric age Malta is building enormous stone temples. Britain later develops its great ceremonial landscapes and Stonehenge. Egypt's first monumental pyramids rise later again. They were not all built together, but the sequence spreads across the ancient world. People begin constructing places far beyond what is necessary for shelter or survival. So the next pattern becomes knowledge arrives in the stories and monumental construction appears in the landscapes. Then I looked at the monuments themselves. Newgrange receives the winter solstice sunrise, and Stonehenge frames the turning points of the sun. Egyptian monuments were carefully orientated to the directions of the earth and sky. Again, not identical, but the same behaviour returns. Measure the heavens, mark the turning of time, build the pattern into stone. And once I followed the sky, I had to follow the ground, because these monuments were not placed anywhere. They stand beside great rivers on ridges, near prominent hills and across landscapes with clear horizons. Newgrange beside the Boyne, Egypt beside the Nile, Stonehenge within a vast ceremonial landscape connected to the River Avon. So perhaps the monuments was never meant to stand alone. Perhaps the entire landscape was the instrument, the river, the hill, the horizon, the rising sun, the monument, all aligned as one enormous pattern. And this is where ley lines enter the investigation. The original ley line idea was not actually about magical energy. Alfred Watkins noticed that ancient sites, hills, churches, trackways and landmarks sometimes appeared to fall along straight lines. He believed they could preserve ancient routes of movement and sight. Later, other people proposed something far stranger, that sacred sites were positioned along invisible current or energetic pathways in the earth. That hasn't been scientifically established, but the visible pattern remains worth investigating. Ancient people repeatedly connected monuments, pathways, water, hills and horizons across entire landscapes. Then the materials begin repeating. Newgrange was dressed with brilliant white quartz, transported from Wicklow region. Stonehenge contains blue stones carried from Wales. Across ancient cultures, builders sometimes rejected the nearest available stone and brought particular materials from far away. Why? Did the stone represent the place it came from? Or did it carry ancestral meaning? Was white quartz meant to make Newgrange shine like a place between earth and sky? or were certain stones believed to hold properties we no longer understand. Now, my patterns continue. Beings, knowledge, monuments, sky alignments, landscape alignments, ancient pathways, special stones. And then another pattern appears. Weather changes, floods, droughts, cold periods, volcanic darkness, unusual events in the heavens. We know from physical evidence that major climate disturbances affected ancient societies. Around 6200 BC, a severe cooling event disrupted regions of the northern hemisphere. Much later, around 2200 BC, severe drought affected parts of Mesopotamia and South Asia, although scientists now debate whether this was one truly global event. Cultures moved, settlements declined, systems of powers changed, people disappeared from certain landscapes. And what do later stories remember? They remember great floods, darkened skies, the fire from above, worlds ending, divine beings withdrawing, survivors beginning again. This doesn't prove the myths describe one real global catastrophe, but it creates another line on my pattern board. When the environment changes violently, people move or disappear, and later memory transforms those losses into sacred stories. So return to Ireland. The Tuatha Dé Danann arrived with knowledge. They are associated with powerful objects. They take control of the land, then another people arrive. A division is made between the invisible and invisible worlds, and the Tuatha disappeared beneath the mounds. Now compare the repeating shape. Beings arrive, knowledge appears, sacred structures rise, the heavens are measured, the landscape is mapped, special materials are transported, something changes, the teachers depart, the old people withdraw, and human beings inherit the worlds they leave behind. Maybe these stories developed independently because humans everywhere ask the same questions. Maybe they preserve memories of migrations, displaced peoples and lost ruling classes. Maybe going underground describes people retreating into hidden landscapes. Maybe the mounds became entrances to the other world because they already belonged to ancestors whose names have been forgotten. Or maybe the oldest stories contain fragments of something we've not yet learned to recognise. I'm not choosing an answer, not yet. First, I want the entire pattern to be shaped. The timeline, the beings, the monuments, the sky, the weather, the materials, the lines across the land, and the people who appear in the story, only to disappear again. Because one resemblance can be a coincidence, two can be a storytelling, but when the same sequence keeps returning across time and place, you follow it. You follow the patterns, and you follow the fairy trail. Okay, thanks, my lovely. I'll talk to you soon. Bye.